I ain't no typical girl. I ain't no typical girl. I ain't no typical. I ain't cheerleading while the boys play ball. I ain't no typical girl. No. I wanna be right there in the middle of it all.
Welcome back to another episode of the Music Cafe, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight or in the afternoon, wherever you are. Time zones confuse me. My name is Alexandra May. I'm the host of the show. Big shout out to IBM.TV for the network IBM.TV for letting me have this really cool show. This is actually my 12th episode, and I decided I needed to go big for this episode. It's a special one for me. We've got some really special guests. Hold on for 2 ticks while I just quickly fill you guys in with some stuff. If you are a regular to the show, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. If you are new to the show, welcome to the fam. Do me a favor. Pick up your laptop or your phone, whatever you're watching this on, and go over to the kitchen. Unless you're Auntie Trudy, I know Auntie Trudy might be watching, get Uncle Alvain to go to the kitchen for you. Take your laptop to the kitchen, make a cup of tea or coffee, get a cup of cake, a piece of cake, and get comfy. And let's settle into this awesome show, this music cafe. We're here to talk and chat and have fun and talk about our difficulties, the problems we're having during COVID, and also encourage each other. That's the biggest thing. It's not about sort of social I want a physical distance. I want to stay away from you, but I don't want to socially distance from you. I want to still stay connected. That's what I've sort of learned during COVID. Just so you guys know, there is a live comment section. So like if you have anything you'd like to say to our guests, a shout out, a question, absolutely anything, pop it in the comments. Actually, we got our first comment here from fame.org.za. Hello, Christian. Christian runs fame.org.za. I've got their name here as well. Just so you know who they are a non-profit organization of lawyers that give their time, advice, pro bono to South African artists that need advice that can't afford a lawyer. That is what they do. So any SA artists out there that need a bit of help legally, they're the guys to contact. But thank you for watching. And we got another comment. Hello, I'm so excited for this too. Me too. If you've got any questions, let me know. But now, while you're here, let me introduce to you all of these incredible people. I'm going to start by hopping over the seas. I'm going to introduce a wonderful singer-songwriter. His name is Tony Arata. Hi, Tony. How you doing?
How are you doing, Alexandra?
Next, we have somebody who's also a singer-songwriter here from my hometown, South Africa. His name is Elandre. Hi, Elandre. How you doing?
What's up, Alexandra? I'm good.
Woohoo!
Very well. How are you? What's up, Tony?
So good.
How are you doing? How are you doing, Alana?
I would like to now introduce a wonderful woman, and I'm so honored to have met her. Her name is Erica Willem. Hi, Erica. How you doing?
How do you do? Good to be here with y'all. Nice to see you.
Amazing. Last but not least, somebody who's the founder of such a special venue here in South Africa. Very special venue to me. His name is TJ Bryan. Hi, TJ from Railways Cafe.
What's
How you
up, guys?
doing?
Good in you. What's up, guys?
I'm so excited for tonight's show. It is going to be like there's just like a ton of talent and expertise in this room. It's just ridiculous. In fact, we've got a few people saying hi. I have to start the highs before I do anything. We've got Fame saying hi to Tony. You got a fan, Tony. We got Clarissa saying hi. I'm assuming
What's up,
Elandre. There we go. I don't know who that is, but you know. We've got Fame. Oh, Fame also saying hello to Elandre and Erica and TJ. And there's no hello for me. Where's my hello? Excuse me, Fame. This guy. You forgot about this guy. Oh gosh. And then Shirley is saying hello to everyone. And I just got something. Okay, here we go. Hang on. This is a big one for me. Oh, the Bluebird Cafe just said hello. Does everybody see that? That is incredible. Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to calm myself because wait, hang on. Clarissa just said hi, Alexandra. Hello and fame. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Okay, now we're done with the hellos. Guys, this is such an incredible show for me. You are all so inspiring to me. And thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday afternoons and evenings to be in this music cafe. I'm excited to get into these chats. But before we get into the chats, I think we should go around the room. And Erica, will you start? Will you just give our viewers a hashtag Tinder bio version of who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm the general manager. Can everybody hear me okay? I have
100%.
Great. I'm the general manager of the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville and have been running the cafe since our founder, Amy Kurland, retired. So for 13 years, the Bluebird's 38 years old in its original location. And if you've seen it on the television show Nashville or been to Nashville, you know it's a very tiny room that really supports songwriters at all levels, from the very, very newbie to the fabulously established, like Tony Arata, are all part of our family.
Mm-hmm. That is so true and just so incredible. I'm a huge fan of the Bluebird Cafe, and it is a lot smaller in real life because in the show Nashville, it does feel quite big, but when you get in there, it's quite cozy, and the stage is very intimate with the audience, and it's actually kind of fun because you're looking at your audience, which is so different for like a normal stage, you know. And I fell in love with it. So absolutely amazing. I can't wait to chat to you about Bluebird starting, people that you've met in that space, working with artists, all of the above. And your career, which is nuts. Your career is crazy. You have a resume as long as like 4 arms. Like, it's just ridiculous.
All
so
those
I can't
jobs.
wait to chat. I mean, incredible, absolutely incredible. So I can't wait to chat to you about that. I'm gonna hop to Mr. TJ down here. TJ, will you please give our viewers just a Tinder bio version of who you are?
Well, started Railways Cafe about 10 years ago, fresh out of school. Had a passion for music, live music more specifically, which I actually found only outside of school. And ever since then, 5 days a week, as many shows as possible as I can fit into 24 hours. And that's what we do.
Absolutely amazing. I love Railways, and also what you guys have been doing for the community during this time, during lockdown in South Africa, has been incredible. I just can't wait to chat to you about how Railways has evolved and changed, and of course your journey within that. And I just found out now that Lisa is your wife, who also is the boss of the boss, essentially, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've connected with her a few times, so I'm sort of interested to chat to you also about that teamwork and working together and the team behind everything. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hop to the gentleman next to me. Hi, Tony. Will you please give our viewers just a Tinder bio version of who you are?
Yes, my wife Jamie and I moved to Nashville back in 1986 from Savannah, Georgia, and we've been here and found it to be not only a great town but just great people. I came here to pursue songwriting along with, I don't know, 10, 15, 20,000 other people. But it's been a very welcoming environment, and it's probably a city in music unlike so many because it's very much a community. And have been, you can ask Eric about this, I've been a regular over at the Bluebird. I'm still trying to get a bar tab paid over there and work it off. Anyway. Just very glad to be here, and thank you very much for having me today.
Oh, but that is, I mean, I think you're such a fantastic artist, and your story and your music career is just absolutely inspiring. The people that you've worked with, again, the list just is incredible. You've got Garth Brooks there. I mean, just incredible what you do when it comes to writing songs for other people, and then of course your own solo stuff, which I'm also interested to chat to you about a bit about.
Sure.
sort of writing for other people and then writing for your own albums and what it's like to pass on that music, because music is your heart that you're putting out there on a piece of paper for somebody else to interpret. So it's I'm sort of interested to chat to you a bit about that as well. So we'll get there. Then I'm gonna hop over the pond to hop over the Tony to someone from my home, South Africa. Elandre, could you give everybody just a hashtag Tinder bio version of who you are?
Sure thing. Hi, my name is Elandre. I'm 24. I am a singer and a songwriter from Dispatch in the Eastern Cape, the East Coast. And I've been writing since I was in high school, and I've been singing since I was 4. And then I, at the age of 18, decided to leave my very small town and move to Cape Town, which is one of the biggest cities in South Africa. And I got a chance to study musical theatre. And I studied musical theatre for a couple of years. And then I did a cover after putting on many of my own work. Put a lot of videos up there. And then I did one cover of a Bruce Springsteen song that got caught on and got me the opportunity to make my first album. And I did that and went on to make my second album. And now I'm writing for myself and just started writing for a couple of other artists as well. And for the rest, we're traveling our bums off and having fun.
Absolutely amazing. And I actually had a Zoom chat with Elandre. What was it? A week ago, 2 weeks ago? I can't remember when we chatted.
The one that went on forever. Yeah. It was like a 5 minutes and we ended up baking it.
Oh yeah, can I just chat to you for a couple of minutes and like 2 hours later? Yeah. I remember just chatting to you about sort of our mutual love of country music and what it's like here in South Africa, because we don't really have country music, and you sort of grow up in these pockets, and then you're exposed to country music. And you were supposed to be traveling to Nashville April this year now, am I right?
Yeah, it was so nice because I used to I grew up watching a lot of documentaries on country music and music in general, and I used to fantasize about going to Nashville all my life. And then I actually had my first trip planned to go over and have a writing session or two right before the lockdown. And then it was, I think, a week before I had to go, and they were like, nah. So so we understand, but it was a pretty big bummer. But yeah, I've always had a great love for country, and especially because, I don't know why, but I'm Afrikaans, and in our culture, I don't know, country is just in what we do. It's the weirdest phenomenon where country has become so close to our culture that Afrikaans music, a lot of Afrikaans music has bases of country and sounds kind of folky and country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we pull from that as well. Well, I do.
Yeah. No, and when it comes to Nashville, we were actually supposed to be in Nashville at the same time, which would have been ironic that we would have met in Nashville for the first time.
Yeah.
But we're from the same country, but now we're meeting here over the interweb. So, this is hashtag 2020. So, I mean, it's
gotta get with the tech.
I know, get with the tech. And I mean, I think it's fascinating here in South Africa. Anyone out there that's watching, in South Africa, we have 11 official languages. And English is one of them. I'm English, and then Afrikaans is one of them. I'm half Afrikaans, so I'm like a bit of both. And you get a whole lot of other languages. And I find that Afrikaans, being sort of from that culture as well, there's so many sort of values in that space that are echoed in sort of country music and anything Southern in the States as well. So I sort of love the relationship between the two. And I actually can't wait to chat to you about sort of your first moment, being exposed to country music and the first moment you fell in love with country music. Actually the Bluebird has just said something very cool, Andre. There we go. Hope you reschedule your trip. Elandre, yes.
So do I.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll reserve. Hopefully, just reserve one seat for me. That would be great. I don't even have to perform. Just one balcony seat. Just a bar seat. I don't mind, please.
I don't know about you, but my ticket's just still waiting for me. It's just sitting around collecting dust, still waiting for me. But you know what? 2020, this is it. Okay, so guys, listen, I want to hop into just getting to know each other for a minute. We are going to have a very special guest who is a regular on my show. He's a singer-songwriter artist from South Africa as well. I'm going to have him on in a couple of minutes. But I just want to chat to you guys first about where sort of music started. Because Erica, you studied journalism and philosophy at Varsity University College. So, I mean, going from that and then entering the music industry, big jump, no jump at all.
Well, I always loved music, and I used to sing before I moved to Nashville. And I thought that I would sing when I went to Nashville, but whoa, there's a lot of great singers in Nashville.
Yeah.
So when I started college, there is when I started working at the Bluebird as a waitress. And
wow.
I was a self-supporting student, so I worked a lot, both on campus and off. So my nights at the Bluebird were really my outings and an opportunity just to do what I love, which is to be around music. And when I graduated, I left Nashville and then came back to book a big music festival and bartend at the Bluebird. And I had deferred my PhD program to study philosophy, and I just kept deferring it. And then I was like, well, I guess, I can either talk about Heidegger and to people that really care, maybe 7 of them, or I can work in the music business that really feels like home to me. So yeah, that was a transition.
I think it's amazing because I love talking to guests who sort of found their love and then sort of pursued it completely, dropped everything else and just went straight into this. And I do think that sort of philosophy and journalism has obviously helped during your career. You took over GM of the Bluebird Cafe. What was it like sort of entering into that space? Because before you were running festivals, you were doing writers' rounds on radio stations, you were doing a whole lot, and going just toward looking at a venue, something so iconic as the Bluebird Cafe. What was that like for you to do that?
Well, it was, in one sense, very lucky because a lot of everybody who works at the Bluebird, there are many people that have a long career of working at the Bluebird.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Tony, one of our longtime bartenders, was my bar back when I was a bartender there.
Right.
And all of the folks that worked there when I started knew me. And they knew that I had worked there for a long time. And so for me to take over, I think, was less frightening than if somebody new had come in who did not understand the culture there. Because I always tell people the Bluebird's a little persnickety, just in terms of we have 90 seats and our room is full. People are in each other's armpits. There's a very particular way we have to do things in order to make that tiny room work.
Yeah.
And so that part I knew. Running a business and, all the bureaucracy that comes with paying taxes and health insurance for my staff and things like that. That was the part that was the hardest. I don't like paperwork.
Yeah.
I love that. That is so funny. So then when it comes to, then there's obviously a team around you. Working with that team, are they all musical? Did they all sort of start out where you started out? And what is it like sort of working with people again in such an iconic place? How do they feel about it?
People feel very attached to the Bluebird, and we have many of our staff who are songwriters and musicians, and twice a year we do one of our Sunday songwriters nights for staff. Just so people can really see like the true life Nashville TV show that Scarlett and Gunnar represent actual reality, because our staff is amazing. And if they're not actual songwriters and performers themselves, they are huge fans, and like huge fans, like you could beat them in a trivia contest. So there's really not only the attachment to the music, but what the club does. And for some, I mean, Tony, I can tell you this too. Unlike many clubs, when our performers walk in the back door, it's hard. They have to hug everybody because they do, because we're a community. And
Yeah.
every single person, from our bar back to the door person, to myself, to the bookkeeper, everybody's role is really important in uplifting what the Bluebird does. So I don't know if that answers the question, but people do stay a long time. And we're very lucky to have a huge staff that's involved in music in every level.
Yeah, and I love the word community. I love that you're using that word. I've been there a couple of times, and I felt that everybody, the person that I spoke to on the phone when I called in on the Monday, between the times that you call in, and I spoke to her, and I was like, oh my gosh, and she was the same girl that I spoke to when I walked in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and the same person that I was talking to over there, and oh my gosh, so it was lovely to sort of feel that. But speaking of community, TJ, when it comes to, now you are the founder of Railways Cafe, and I adore Railways. It was one of my, as a young singer songwriter in the industry, it was one of my first venues to play at. And again, the community of writers and bands that have walked through your doors is honestly incredible. What was the idea when you started Railways? Why did you start it, and how have you sort of grown that community?
Well, the funny thing is in the beginning, it wasn't necessarily to start it for music per se. I'd sort of flunked out of two degrees that I was planning on studying, and it just didn't work for me. And that whole varsity lifestyle wasn't something I was particularly interested in. But more with my mom being a psychologist, I think she secretly taught me just how to be with people and deal with people. And that's where I found my liking in starting something of that sort. And when I did, I was like, I'm sorry I let you down twice, but can I give this a dash? And she put her faith in me, and she gave me the platform. And back then didn't really have any money or that to show for it, but started off with a small 4x4 little corner with a bar and a small little stage. And I'd met one or two, Pedro Barbosa, one musician in particular, that I just bumped into, and we got talking, and he was a muso. And I'll never forget the first 6 months of that business. He would literally play a full show of, like, it was supposed to be an hour long, but I'd make him play like 5 hours for like 500 Rand, and he would bring all the sound with. And from there we'd have nights where we played to just the staff, just 5 of us, and it sort of grew to 10 to 15, and people started talking about it. And back then, when we started, with a lot of the musos that we've had perform on our stage now, they were also very much in the beginning stages, and over 10 years being able to also see them grow and grow with them. It's like you say, it's like a community, it's like a family. It's a lot stronger than just a business transaction, so that's not how we see it. We see it as music is just something that brings people together, and it creates and brings in a lot of joy. And the whole idea, just sort of by meeting musos, funny enough, the musos encouraged me to go deeper into it and focus more on it. And from there, it grew, and I wanted more days because it was just Fridays. So I was like, no, I can't do Friday. I must do Saturdays, must do Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays. So I just wanted to find an excuse to get as many musos through our doors possible. And so many that I've met here, we've had our range of the greats of South Africa come through our doors more recently as our reputation grew. But for the first 8 years, it was really all just upcoming musos, and guys wanting a platform to sort of become known to new people. And I'm so privileged to be a part of it. I mean, I've met such incredible people. And there's musos that we still don't know of, and that I meet new musos every single day. So it's like there's not enough stages to be able to cater for everyone in one lifetime, which I guess is the only frustration. But I can't complain, at least being able to work in an environment like that and with people like that. It's truly amazing.
Yeah, and we've actually got a comment here from Amber. Long journey, but worth the result. Proud of you. I'm guessing it's your sister, or
This
it's
is my sister, yes.
sister. Hello, sister. Remember, like I said, shout out to mom. This is hello, sister. There we go.
Yeah. What's up, Amber?
I do love the story that you're telling, and you speak about the team and the community becoming family. I mean, quite literally family. You work with your wife, Lisa. What is it like, sort of the two of you working together? What is her role? What is your role? Is she the boss of the boss? What are the vibes there?
When she came in, working in hospitality, I think it can be very tedious on a partner, especially if there's it's a completely different lifestyle. And I think you as musos also know that it's something that a partner can't easily get used to. So my love magic must have worked somewhere, because she wanted to get involved, and she's always had a love for music, and she's got a very keen ear. And I'd run through booking agents like 10 in 2 months. I don't know, maybe they just don't like working for me. But my wife decided to initially just start helping me out, and then she got the bug. Then she was like, "We're doing this event, we must do this event." And so she sort of just got super into it, and and it's really nice because we get to spend time together. Yes, it has its challenges, but overall, I must say it was also probably one of the better decisions we've made.
I think that's amazing to work as a team like that, and to keep it in the family is wonderful. It really is. And I mean, I remember railways back in the day when, if anyone in South Africa that knows railways, it used to be an outside-ish kind of venue. I remember it being in the beginning, like in the outside and the back, and then you built this beautiful sort of space inside as well, with like baths in the walls. I'm not lying to you. This is real. There are baths in the walls that you can like sit in for like perfect photo ops, like for real, perfect photo ops. I mean, it's such a quirky, cool place for musos to come along. And I think you also have certain rules of introducing new musos, that once you're a regular, you then get paid a certain amount because now you're a regular. And if you're a newbie, you're sort of tested, but you're still paid as a newbie. And I think it's incredible what you're doing for artists. There's actually a comment here here we go, from Fame. Thanks for giving local talent the platform to perform, to grow. So yeah, thank you so much, TJ, for making Railways the beautiful venue that it is. And well, talking about sort of artists and performing and part of the furniture, essentially, Tony.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you now part of the furniture of the Bluebird Cafe? Are you just part of the furniture? That is it.
I've got the IQ of some of their chairs. No, I really appreciated what Erica said. It is very much a family over there, and people do stay around, and you get to know them on a different level than just, well, this person does bar, this person does sound. And they become, it's just a wonderful venue in which to develop friendships.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate what TJ said about having to flunk out a couple of times to determine what it was you wanted to wind up doing. I got my degree in journalism because my father asked me what I had the most hours in, about 3 years into college. And I said, English journalism. And he said, all right, you're a journalist. And so that's how I came to my journalism degree. But anyway, it actually paid off. I was actually worked for a magazine for a while after Jamie and I moved here. So I actually put the degree to use.
Well, I wanted to ask you. You went from being a journalist. You essentially picked up the pen to write, to put down the pen, to pick up the pen again to write something else. And what was it like? When was that moment of actually ending your first career and then going into full-time songwriting and performing.
Well,
When was that shift?
well, oddly enough, all the while that I was working for the magazine, I was still writing songs, and actually had some of the bigger successes I had while being fully employed at this publication.
Oh wow.
There really, as far as putting down one pen and picking up the other, it's amazing. If I didn't learn anything else, getting a degree in journalism that has helped me as a songwriter was realizing you've only got a limited amount of space and a limited attention span with your reader. So you've got to get the goods up front, and you got to make every word count and every line count, because most songs are 3 minutes long. So it's not a lot of time to tell a story. Journalism drives in the point home from day one that you've got to have everything in the lead of a story if you expect the reader, in this case, to go on any further. So it did help out from that regard. And also, to anyone else who's working a full-time job out there, I've never believed that you had to only do songwriting in order to be a songwriter, or that it somehow lessened your worth as a songwriter, or whatever art you are pursuing. If by day you pay the bills in whatever capacity you have to, and so I never really thought I hadn't made it as a songwriter. Believe it or not, and I've said this on more than one occasion, whether anybody knew any of my songs or not, or if any had ever been recorded, I would have written the same amount of songs. TJ and Elandre can tell you that you don't necessarily write hoping that somebody's going to do it. You write because that's what you do. And so, I mean, if I'm very grateful that things worked out, but like I said, I'd still have the same catalog regardless.
And then, that sort of leads into my next question. I sort of wanted to ask you, when it comes to writing songs that aren't for you necessarily, that are for your library, that are going to be put out to other artists, and then writing for yourself, because you've also released a number of solo albums. Is there a different mindset that you're in, that you're now writing stories that are for your solo albums for your heart, or is it just all about telling your story and then somebody else interpreting that music when they get that song?
Well, I think if you hope that on any given day you're trying to write the best song you can, regardless, and not necessarily say this is for so and so. Every time I've ever tried that, Alexandra, I can tell you they've always sounded very contrived, and as if you were trying to second guess the artist you were hoping to pitch the song to. I think the main thing, what really makes a great artist is that they find a song that they make their own, that you don't have to convince them that this is good for you, but they hear something in it that they can identify with and want to bring their embellishment to it. One other thing any writer will tell you is there's a lot more songs sitting around that haven't been recorded than have been. So, and a great many of them that I play every night, every time I get a chance at the Bluebird or anywhere else, are not necessarily recorded hits. They're just things that I'm, out of a stack of 100, there may be a couple in there that you're really proud of, regardless of what success they've garnered. So I try to write the best song on any given day. Sometimes you hit the mark and most times you don't, but you keep trying.
I think that's a really good lesson, and that's going in my hashtag Music Cafe book of really cool things to say. That it's not about trying to write that mathematical perfect song for that person or that hit. It is about writing the best song that you can on the day, and writing 2 million songs for one to be perfect, essentially, to have just that muscle, because it's a muscle that you're working. It's something that you might have the talent, but you still have to learn. You still have to stretch before you run a marathon. So I love exactly what you're saying. It is brilliant advice. And I actually want to hop to Elandre and just look at, when it comes to songwriting, when did you start writing music for yourself? When did you actually start writing music? And then you've spoken about a shift now writing with and for other artists. What has that now been like as well?
Well, I got into music by trying to find lyrics to songs, because we used to listen to a lot of country music in the house, and I used to try to sing along, but I could never find the lyrics to them. So I would just spend hours and hours and hours in our local library after school, just downloading lyrics off the internet and printing them out on the back of used pages so I can take them home. And then when I started trying to get a repertoire together as a singer, I guess as a kid, my voice broke when I was in 8th grade. So I went from a first soprano to a bass, and all of a sudden I had no material, and I either sang covers of female songs because I could kind of do the octave below, but the top half of my voice was gone. So I suddenly had to write my own stuff because I wanted to do shows and sing at local competitions or whatever. And not a lot of songs sat well within my voice. And later I went on and I did some vocal training, and I studied musical theater, which really helped to get that under control and to work on the muscle, etc. But writing in itself has been a journey with some of my friends that I've been writing with since high school. Yeah, as you said, I think it's a muscle that needs to be worked, and it's definitely a skill that you need to play with. And I don't think there's any like set rules. Obviously, there are things that works better than others, but
sure.
Yeah, as Tony said, you might have 100 songs. There can be 100 songs in a room, and then one song works and 9 doesn't work. And that's okay. But I found that the most of the things that I've written that have worked have come very organically and naturally. I try not to force it. And now writing for other artists as well, it's either usually a song that I write and then I'm like, this is not me. I'm not going to be able to nail this. And every now and then you get someone that just really gets it. They get what the song's about. They get the melody, they get the lyrics, they get the backstory, and they're able to make it part of not only their vocal range, but part of their image and part of who they are. I think that's very hard to find within a song. And sometimes it can be quite demotivating because you're writing and you don't necessarily know if someone's going to hear it or not, or if someone's going to sing it or not. But you can't let that stop you, you need to keep on writing. I have books scattered throughout my entire house, full of little notes and everything, because I need to jot things down. I guess it's just been my way of making sense of life till now. And it's great to be able to do that on a stage, or to be able to give that to someone else and say, what do you do with this,
Well, I actually wanted to ask you, and now please excuse, I have a very English accent, even though I'm half Afrikaans. I'm going to say it as best as I can. Your first debut album, you know what's coming. Claim Dorp Drummer. I can't say it. I sound so English saying it. Claim Dorp. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Claim Dorp Drummer. Yeah.
Yes. Klein Dorp Drummer. Yes.
Oh, so I'm supposed to be Afrikaans and I can't even say it. And I know my Papan guest is laughing right now. I know he's laughing at me, and so is my dad. But when it came to writing that album, because that was the album, I'm a huge fan of your music, and I fell in love with you because of that album and the songs on it. And it's quite personal. It's literally about being a small town dreamer. And I mean, writing that music, just what was it like putting together that album?
Well, Klein Dorp in a small town, Klein, small Dorp town, small town dreamer. It was just a basic summary of what I've done until now. I was 21 when I got my first record deal, and I was very young, but I wanted to kind of give a lot of people some context about who I was and where I was coming from, because I'm not really, I guess some people find me way out every now and then because I do country, but I do pop and I do cross genre things as well. But I always try to be a bit out of the box, which sometimes has, I guess, freak people out, but I get such a kick out of it. It's really cool. So the first album was a bit of this is where I'm from. This is why I make music, and country had a big influence on that. And the irony of it is I wrote 80% of it before I actually got my record deal. It was songs that I've been writing as a student, being in Cape Town, missing home,
Love that.
trying to find my way in the music industry there. That was my first album. So maybe I just gave it my all, or had enough time to get that together.
I love that. And we've actually got a few comments. I have to go through them. Firstly, thank you very much, Clarissa. I sounded terrible saying it, but yes. And Danny says that with that album, he met you. I mean, I don't know if that's literally or
Yes.
Literally. Hello, Danny.
Yes. Hey, Danny.
Oh, that's awesome. We've got Constant and played Railways many times. Best venue in Pretoria.
That's my guitarist.
Oh, is it?
This
Hi,
is my guitarist.
Oh,
Hey,
my
Constant.
goodness. And we've got another comment here by, again, Clarissa, her favorite song. And I agree. Beautiful. So just talking about songwriting, I'm going to introduce our pop-in guest. I'm just going to give like a little short intro of who he is. So NSAI is the Nashville Songwriting Association International, and Erica knows just a little bit about NSAI. We'll get into that in a hot second. But I am the South African coordinator here, and I've got I've got a partner also who is the other South African coordinator, and his name is Christian Bartman. Hi, Christian.
What's up?
Hello.
Hey guys.
Christian and I
what's
are the SA coordinators, and we both love Nashville. We both love the writers' rounds, the everything, the everything that Nashville has to offer. We love. So I had to bring Christian on because this is important for both of us to sort of be in this chat. It really is. So thank you so much for popping in.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just want to quickly pop, if you don't mind, I just want to quickly pop in and tell Tony and Erica about these two guys. Elandre is actually one of our top artists in South Africa. He had one of the most streamed songs of the previous season, 2018-2019, Feet Up Water, Fire in the Water. Phenomenal artist and performer. Not just a musician, but a performer of magnitude, and he does amazing things. And then also Railways is... It's an organism. I do a lot of their poetry nights, or I did back in the day. And every single time you walk into Railways, this man has built something new. Like either a wall is missing, or there's some weird mannequin that's coming out of the wall, or it is a piece of art. So if you guys ever come to South Africa, please consider going to Railways and seeing this man Elandre live, because it's really something worth doing.
Look forward to it.
Sounds amazing.
Absolutely incredible. Well, Christian, you actually have a little story of the Bluebird Cafe, and I just want to. Do you want to just also mention that before we go into our #writers round?
Yeah, so I have a very much the same story as Elandre. I grew up in a little town called Witterdrift. That's about 120 kilometers from Dispatch. And we had less than 1,000 people in our town, or maybe less than 500. And I've been passionate about music and songwriting since the day I could speak. And one of the biggest things that happened to me was when we got dial-up internet at our little town. And I also sat in the library and I just Googled, and I was a fanatic about songwriting and just getting, because no one could teach you how to play guitar, no one could teach you how to write songs. And you always feel so alone, Elandre. I don't know if you can associate with that, because you're so passionate about this thing, but you can't really, there's no one that you can share it with. And then one day I was just browsing the internet, waiting for that 7 kilobyte per second download, and you're like doing lyrics and everything. And all of a sudden, I come across this is 1998. I come across this place called Bluebird Cafe, and I just read through the biog and I start crying in the middle of the library, like 3:00 in the afternoon. I just sit there weeping my eyes out, because it's a songwriter church, and they literally have church benches. And my father's a reverend, so just the emotional connection that I had with the idea of, the song comes first. Shh, everybody has to be quiet when you sing, and I just absolutely fell in love with the culture. And I've been following Bluebird since 1998, and a few years ago I had the privilege to sing there for the first time. And as I walked into the door, I started crying, and I was just like, I'm home. So I just want to say thank you so much for everything you are and everything you stand for, and know that your experience or your impact has gone so far that the little guy in the middle of a little town in the middle of nowhere was inspired by you in 1998, and you are one of the primary reasons that I'm a songwriter.
Sure, that is brilliant.
That is amazing.
No, thank you. You
Thank
guys
goodness
are.
for dial-up.
Wow, that is beautiful. I think that's such an incredible story, and I have the same feelings. And Christian and I will spend hours talking about Nashville, the Bluebird, and yeah, we just love this. But you know what? Speaking of the Bluebird, I want to now do one of my favorite parts of this show, which is the Writers Round. And so I'm just going to reposition myself because this is important. Anyone that's watching that doesn't know what a Writers Round is, I'm going to do my best to explain. Well, actually, hang on. Erica, would you like to explain what a Writers Round is? Why should I explain it when I've got the person there sitting right there? You explain it, please, Erica.
I'm happy to explain it, but I do think that it's also important that you and Christian have that experience, and it's nice to hear people talk about it in that way, because for the Bluebird, when the Bluebird started, it started as just a restaurant and served food, and that was Amy Curlin's dream, was to have a little cafe. And then through a boyfriend, through support by the community, it developed completely organically, kind of like Railways, it sounds like, to where it became something that was never expected. And a part of that are people, like Tony and some of the writers, Tom Schuyler, Don Schlitz, Fred Knobloch, who were really regulars there at the time. And when I was a waitress there, the shows would happen on stage. Those gentlemen created this in the round setting where people would go around in the center of the room and share their music. And when they're face to face, that's sort of where the culture became the storytelling culture, because they were telling each other and the folks around it about the song. So I'm not going to belabor that. I'm going to let it happen because it's really so much better to hear it in action than me.
Well, I really wish that we were in the same room, I really do wish that we could be doing that, because I see a number of some of my favorite writers like Jeff Cohen always in those circles, and I love Jeff Cohen. For people that don't know, Jeff Cohen wrote the Paw Patrol's theme tune, just so you know, and he's a great person. I actually have him on my show next week, which is quite cool, but he's also part of that family, and to see people doing that, sharing their hearts and their songs, just incredible. So I can't wait to do this right now. I think we should start with the person that is the most experienced in this place. You've done it. You've done it in our church, the Bluebird. And so, Tony, will you please start us off on this Writers Round? Tell your story. Take your time. You do you, boo. You do you, boo.
Very kind. One thing I want to say real quick. I'm still trying to get used to the time changes here. But so it's night time where y'all are?
It is nearly 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's like 10 to 10.
Please just go outside for me. I haven't been out at night, and I don't even know how long. It's been 4 or 5 months since I've been outside when it's been dark. So that's great. Just glad to be with y'all. And also, Christiana, Alexandra, thank y'all so very much for what you do on behalf of the Songwriters Association, because it is important. Everybody thinks that songs come from radio or from the record player or somewhere else, but they actually come from people. And so you never know when you're going to hear the next person that's going to be the one that you do hear coming out your radio. And TJ giving them a place to play, that's just so wonderful. My first experience walking in the Bluebird Cafe, Jamie and I had just moved here. And walked in, and this was my introduction. It was Don Schlitz and Fred Knobloch and Tom Schuyler and Craig Bighart. And everything they were playing was on the radio at the time. The very first line I ever heard come out when I opened the door was On a Warm Summer's Evening from the Gambler. It was Don Schlitz singing it. So you can imagine how glad I was that we had moved here, because it was obvious they needed us in a real bad way. they needed another songwriter. No, they did. Where to show you how instrumental it's been, one of the first people I met when I moved here back in '86 was Garth Brooks. I met him at another club here in town, and we struck up a conversation and a friendship that I'm very grateful has lasted all these years. But the Bluebird still has to this day a segment called The Early Show that they do, and it's run from like 6 to 9 or 6:30 to 9:30, and there's no cover charge. And so I wound up doing one of these early shows with Garth back in, I don't know, '87 maybe, and there was nobody there. I mean, no one in the audience, but the other songwriters. And one of them was Garth, and I had just written this song and played it. And Garth said, "If I ever get a record deal, pal, I'd love to do that song." And I was just, as my fellow troubadours here will, admit, just to have someone like something you've done means the world. But I also had to laugh because at the time Garth was doing construction work and selling booze, and I was loading trucks at UPS, the United Parcel Service. So we were obviously not on our way to anything big. But that's what I meant, is you just never know who the next person's going to be. And 3 years later, Garth sang on that same Bluebird stage and got signed to Capitol Records.
Wow.
The following day, he called and asked, and this song was still available. So to anyone out there who is writing songs, believe it or not, the irony of all of it is that the greatest thing that ever happened to me as a songwriter was to be turned down for a long, long time, because when this song was asked for, it was actually still available. So no doesn't necessarily mean never. It just means maybe no right now. But we wound up with exactly who should have done it all along. We'll do a bit of this song called The Dance. Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared, the stars above, when for a moment all the world was right. How could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to. The dance. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to. The dance. And I'll look forward to seeing that someday over at the Railway Cafe. TJ, if you'll have me, I look forward to it.
I will definitely have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Erica, for having a place like that here in Nashville. That is, there's no end to the people I've seen at your club, and no end to the friendships that I've made there. So thank you.
Thank you for making it happen.
Absolutely amazing. Like I'm just sitting here crying. That's all I'm doing. That's okay.
Me too.
Gosh, I've got a whole lot of claps here. I mean, yeah, just I wish this was real, but they are clapping. They are clapping right now. Absolutely incredible. Wow, I need a minute. I need a tissue. That was just incredible. And I think what is amazing is that, and I think all of us South Africans in this room could could sort of say the same thing, that you spend your whole life pursuing something and something that you truly love, which is, for me, it's songwriting and country music, and going to the home, which is Nashville, the center of the universe of songwriting, and then to be talking to the person who's the GM of the Bluebird, and with someone who's part of the furniture and has written hits at that place that it's come true, just is just I'm shaking, just incredible. It really, really is just
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind.
incredible.
You know, the thing
Whoa.
I really meant what I said is, you never know who you're playing for, and it may only be 2 or 3 people, but one of them might well change your life. I mean, that is living proof right there. So we all want to bring our best on any given occasion, and want to deliver our best, and then the rest of it is anybody's guess. But anyway, sometimes you get very fortunate, as I did on that song with that artist.
Oh, just incredible. Thank you so much. And we've actually got a comment here from Christian, who says, hopefully we'll be able to have a true writers round with me as my nickname, Ali, here again soon. And you know what, my first trip to Nashville was about 3 years ago, and I try to go at least 2 or 3 times a year. And the first time I went to Nashville, I experienced my first writers round, and at like one of these little bars. I think it might have been Bobby's Idle Hour on 17th Music Row. And gosh, I just, there's something about that place as well. It's just got a vibe. And I did my first writers round there, and I actually brought the event home. I started my own event, Writers Round South Africa, and we've been going for 3 years. Haven't done anything this year, unfortunately, because of hashtag COVID. But we will hopefully, you know what, TJ, we're doing this. We're going to have, as soon as we can, we're going to have a proper Writers Round at Railways.
I'll just lock you all in the theater.
We're gonna fly Tony out. We're gonna fly Erica out. We're gonna get Elandre up here as well, and we're gonna have this really awesome Writers Round and Railways. Well,
I'm in.
I'm so glad.
My schedule, I'm available.
Oh man, so excited. Well, you know what? I'm gonna hop the pond. Elandre, would you like to be the next person in our Writers Round?
Please, I would love to.
Yay!
Thank you so much, firstly, for having me. This is pretty cool. I never thought I would be singing to someone that's even been to Nashville. So, yeah, this is really. I don't want to make it as if we idolize it or over idolize it, but it's pretty big, especially if you're from a small town like I am. And as you say, Tony, you never really know what's going to happen, and I certainly didn't. But I took a major chance and a major bet to go to Cape Town. And I started working at a place called Stardust, which is also a dinner theater. And I got the chance to study, but I had to pay my rent, and I had to do that alone. And it was pretty tough. And I got into this place called Stardust, and there was a stage. And it was also where people would come together, and all the waiters were also performers, and we were encouraged to really have a go at it when we were on stage. It was pretty show busy. But it was on that stage where I got to sing some of my own songs when the midnight shift hit, and there was no one there. You have 4 or 5 people in there. I would take a chance with one of my own songs. And sometimes I sang this song because I missed home a lot. And the song is called Home. It later went on to my first album as something that was totally different, with different lyrics and a different vibe. But when I wrote it, it sounded like this. Woke up this morning with the city screaming, go back home. I can't relate to the lifestyle here. It's too fast for a slow heart like mine. Home seems a long way from where I stand. And times may change, but memories stand. What I wouldn't give to touch that land. I guess inside I'm still that little boy holding his mama's hand. I came here to find my art, but I didn't know what it would cost. Home seems a long way from where I stand, and times may change, but memories stay. What I wouldn't give to touch that land. I guess inside I'm still that little boy holding his mama's hand. Each day I'm getting smaller, and time gets longer in my heart. Leads me right back home. Home seems a long way from where I stand, and times may change, but memories stand. What I wouldn't give to touch that land. I guess inside I'm still that little boy holding his mama's hand. I guess inside I'm still that little boy holding his mama's hand.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I have a few comments here again, just a few comments. I have to go through them all. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. True icon. Agreed. Agreed. Beautiful. I love that song. It's stunning. And I mean, I remember the first time I heard your voice, I can't get over your voice. It's so beautiful and silky and oh, it's stunning. It's velvety. I don't know the words. I'm just thinking of fabrics right now. I don't have any more fabrics. Yeah, beautiful. You know what? You and me, when we've got those tickets waiting, and Christian's gonna, we're gonna all hop over to Nashville. We're all gonna go do this, play these rounds, and you have to sing that song. That is it.
Okay.
That's the rule.
Can't wait.
Great
Can't
job.
wait.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being part of the Writers Round. I love having you part of it. Oh, we've actually got a comment here from Fame. They have said, let's set something up at Railways. Well, they'll help with the logistics. Undercurrent. Oh, amazing. That's incredible. So TJ, we're gonna do this. Now it's like it's whatever you put onto the internet stays on the internet. So this is it now. It's there.
This is my written contract.
This is your written contract. We've got some more comments here. Hang on. More than talent. Oh gosh, they just keeps. There's actually too many. Like they keep popping up as I'm going through them. It's incredible. Absolutely beautiful. Like smoky whiskey. That's it. Smoky whiskey. That is exactly it. Beautiful. Absolutely incredible. Well, you know what? Christian is a bit of a regular on this show. So, and Christian, you know the drill. We actually met for the first time at one of my Writers Round events, which is quite cool. But it's your, the drill. You know what to do. It's your stage. Go for it.
I actually feel after Elandre, I should maybe just pass. I don't know. Just so good, man. So when you get a contract in Nashville, can I crash on your couch like once a year? Is that cool?
Let's get that contract, man, and then I'll get a couch. And then, absolutely.
Yes, man. You guys are Tony. It's so emotional just being able to be in the same space as you guys. It's very humbling. I mean, I don't know. I feel very Yeah, I'm just gonna keep quiet now. Sorry. Thanks so much. Yeah. We should maybe do something in railways. So I'm just gonna. I unfortunately can't do loud songs anymore because my neighbor complained the last time I did a rock ballad. So I'm gonna have to do my slow song. So Alex, you've heard this one before. So it's a jazz song that I wrote about falling in love. I'm a big lover. I fall in love like this, and it's very bad, usually with the wrong people. And this one time I fell in love with this girl that was also a musician, and we always wrote together, and we had this amazing like chemistry, except for anything else. But the music chemistry was amazing, and I always fantasized about taking her to Paris and asking her to marry there, and then I wrote this song as a kind of a fantasy song, and it's called "I Remember April" in the springtime. So it's because it's spring in Paris during April. I remember April in the springtime, with the sun always shining and everything surprising me. I remember all the silly things we did was somewhat amusing, but always precluding me. So wait for me and I will sing a song. I'll sing along. Won't you wait for me and I will take you there. I've got this love to share with you. Ooh. Take me where the sun is shining. Take me to your moon. I want to feel the love that's always keeping you up in the night again. Love me in the summer nights as you love me in the spring. And I could wait for you and you could wait for me, and I will wait for you and you rise up in this love again. I remember April in the springtime, with the sun always shining and everything surprising me. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stunning. I love that song. I'm busy singing. I had to mute myself when I was singing harmonies. Beautiful. I love that. Oh, we got more comments. Botman, what a song. Love it.
Stop it. Keep on.
No, thank you so much for being part of this round, Christian. This is a special thing for both of us to be able to do this. So, hang on, we've got more comments. Sorry, more comments. There we go. No, and it's great to hear your story as well. I'm also going to sing a slow song. Can you guys hear the guitar right, or should I turn it up?
Yeah, sounds good.
Just want to make sure in case. Unfortunately, my neighbors are a little bit further away, so I can do a loud song, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do a slow song. And I thought I'm going to do a song that's I don't know about you guys, but my songs are essentially my diary. I don't keep a diary. I'm terrible at it, but I write, and you can tell by the songs that I've written exactly what's happening in my life. And so this song is actually called Dear Me, and it's a song that I wrote. It's as if I was writing a diary, literally. And I suffer from like having panic attacks and anxiety, and I suffered my first panic attack last year when I was in Nashville, and I was like calling my mom, and it was one of those moments where I was trying to make it through. I was just overworking myself basically, but I had to just make sure that I had to go back to the space. I had to find my chai, find my chi, my kai chai, that, come back to your center, go back to the bar, go back to writing, go back to finding your core. And this is essentially what the song is about. So yeah.
Dear me, to everything I wanted to be. Dear me, to my present, my future, my past. I'm writing all this down to let you know you don't have to do life on your own. But all the waiting, which way is it coming? Sometimes the rain, it falls, the clouds are crashing in. Just close my eyes, stay open, watch disaster win. Yeah, heaven's out of sight, but I'm running to the light. Sometimes it's all nothing when you gotta show your feelings. Your feelings, yeah. Dear me, it's gonna be alright, you'll see. Dear me, you got everything you need in your hands. I'm singing this again to let you know you don't have to dance life on your own. But all the waiting, all of this anticipating. Sometimes the rain, it falls, the clouds are crashing in. Just close my eyes, stay open, watch disaster win. Yeah, heaven's out of sight, but I'm running to the light. Sometimes it's all nothing when you gotta show your feelings, yeah. But all the waiting, which way is it coming? All this anticipating, waiting for disaster to win. Sometimes the rain, it falls, the clouds are crashing in. Just close my eyes, stay open, watch disaster win. Yeah, heaven out of sight, but I'm running to the light. Sometimes it's all nothing, and now I gotta show feelings. Sometimes it's all nothing, and now I gotta show feelings. Feelings, yeah. Dear me, be fearless and you will be free.
Yeah, well done.
You. No, it's it's quite special to be like Christian was saying, to be able to perform this music in front of this room, and just absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing your love and passion for this industry. And we've only got a few minutes left, which is very sad, very sad. But I wanted to just ask a couple of questions just to round off the show, because you know what, when it comes to songwriting, it is about your interpretation, your heart, and your love for whatever it is that you're trying to express. And can we just go around the room and can we just sort of end off with perhaps some pearls of wisdom that when it comes to youngsters entering? I know Erica's laughing at me now. I see you. When it comes to sort of the new generation that are coming in, because I know, Erica, you've obviously seen lots of new artists, new up and comings come through those doors and out the doors, and you've seen the big guys come through as well. And same with TJ and Railways, and obviously Tony, you've worked with these people. So do you have any advice for people that are entering the industry and all that. Tony, would you like to start?
Well, first off, thank you all very much for having us today, and for letting me come into your presence here and be with y'all. And I hope to see your lovely country someday. And y'all come visit us in Nashville. This has got to be over at some point. I'm certainly anyway, I will pass along the best bit of advice I ever got, and it came from another songwriter, a gentleman by the name of Dave Loggins, who wrote "Please Come to Boston" and a host of many other songs. I went to a seminar here, and it was a lot of people giving their advice on what to do if you're trying to get started in the business. And everybody said one thing, and then the next person would get up and say something completely different. And I was getting more and more confused, and didn't really know what I had done moving Jamie and I here. None of it was making any sense. And then Dave Loggins stepped up to the microphone and in a very, very succinct manner put it all in perspective for me. His whole speech consisted of this: write something you're proud of. And that was all he said, and he sat down. And I left the seminar feeling as though I had gotten my money's worth, and it heard something that I needed to hear. And to anybody who wants to write or to do any type of art, it isn't about what you're going to make from it or the name you're going to make from it. It's to leave something behind that will outlast you, and that if given the chance, that you would want to play this for somebody or show this to someone and be proud of it. And that's I've tried very hard to do that. Haven't always made it, but that's the goal. And thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I don't know if my screen is frozen or anything, but thank you so much for your words. And is my screen frozen?
Yeah.
But you can still hear me. That's like crazy.
Yeah.
This is TIA. This is Africa. That's Christian saying.
Alexandra May is now a ventriloquist.
Ironically, my sister actually is a ventriloquist, so this is quite funny. Let me just try going off the screen. Oh no! Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I'm just gonna give my laptop to like a minute to like fix itself. But if you guys can't hear me, just like shout, Alex, we can't hear you. But Tony, thank you so much for your words and your inspiration. It's been incredible having you on the show, and your songs are just beautiful and incredible. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you. And well, I'm going to hop to Elandre. Do you want to end off as well with just some pearls of wisdom for our viewers, up and comings in the industry that are also possibly from small towns, and what can they do, and how did you get to where you are? Just that inspiration.
Well, firstly, it feels kind of crazy giving advice at 24, because I still feel like I got a lot to learn. But the path until this point has been great. And I think one thing that one must remember is you must believe that you have something to contribute and that you have something to say. Yeah. I think, as Tony said, you need to keep on writing despite anything. At the end of the day, you need to believe that you've got something to contribute and be able to share something with confidence. At the end of the day, you need to be able to write honestly, and it's a difficult medium because sometimes it can get quite personal, and but it's something I've always returned to, and I think that has helped me to kind of figure out that that's what I need to be doing. So if this is something that you are constantly returning to, then maybe it's something that you should be incorporating in your life. And sometimes it doesn't always agree with normal life, or we lead sometimes a crazy life as artists, but I think it's worth it at the end because we get to do this, you know. Yeah. So keep at it and contribute. You got a lot to contribute.
I think that's very encouraging, because often, like Tony was saying, that you just write a bunch of songs, and sometimes there are those no's. Well, not sometimes, often there are those no's, and sort of trying to keep up that positive space in your mind, just to keep writing, that you are valued, your stories are valued in this community, and you get amazing writers like Tony and people like TJ and Erica who appreciate songwriters and their stories. So I totally agree with what you're saying, and thank you so much for being part of the show. And dude, we're gonna be meeting soon, and no,
It's been an
we're
incredible
gonna meet.
honor. Thank you.
Gosh, this is fun, and we're gonna meet in person, and then we're gonna hop over to Nashville. Okay, that's it. Amazing, that's it. Well, Erica, it has been the biggest honor to have you on my show. Just, it's incredible meeting you and knowing your story. We didn't get to half the questions that I wanted to ask you, so I need to
when
have
you
you
get
back.
to Nashville, we'll get together.
Okay, that'll be awesome. That'll be great. Well, I actually wanted to ask, before you give your pearls of wisdom, when it comes to the Bluebird, how is the Bluebird shifting, and where is it now when it comes to lockdown and COVID in Nashville? How is the Bluebird doing? What has it been like during this time?
I think it's a great question, because I don't think anybody thought it would last this long. I mean, when I was in Europe when it happened, Tony was with me, and we flew back from Europe to get back in time for me to close the Bluebird on March 13th. And I think we all thought that we would be a couple weeks and then moving on. So as it's become more clear that it's going to be a long haul, especially for a little tiny room like us, we don't know when we'll open. It might be next year, for that matter, and when it's safe. So trying, I think for us, I had to furlough 28 staff people, which was heartbreaking. And to also continue to be the Bluebird, so that we're closed to the public, but we also have our spirit that we're continuing and trying to find ways that we can do things like this, where, I mean, how great for us to be able to experience y'all thousands of miles away in South Africa. So we're also thinking about, how can we continue to bring the Bluebird out, bring the message and the opportunities out to the people that kind of depend on us and see themselves through us. So yeah, it's a challenge for sure, but we're not giving up.
Well, that's really encouraging, because we all love the Bluebird. It is a special. The Bluebird Cafe is a special place, and there's this hashtag that's going around, or this phrase that the arts are dying. Be part of the arts, sort of not dying. And I hate to think of that. I think that as long as we're still creating, art ain't dead. It ain't dead until I'm dead. Like, as long as we're still creating, it's still going. So is there anything, again, just one more question before pearls of wisdom, is there anything that as artists or as the public that we can do to help venues like the Bluebird Cafe?
Well, that's a big question in terms of the venues, and TJ can probably speak some to what's happening there. For us, there's a lot of legislation that's happening and conversations about how incredibly important developmental stages are to artists as they're developing. So that conversation is happening. But I think, to go to what you said about arts ain't going anywhere. I mean, the truth of it is, and this is something I'm trying to keep in my own brain, is the structure that we're used to may be gone. That's our opportunity to find a new way. And that's what artists do. And if we're going to cling on to waiting for things to get back to normal so that we can move forward in the normal way, that may not happen. So where, as an artist, do you see yourself being part of envisioning something new and not closing your ears? And I guess this would go to my pearls of wisdom, for whatever word they are. It's just there's creative energy to be taken advantage of. Don't stop yourself by what you see as a structure that existed. Everything that you have inside of you is important to bring out and to find a way. And that does take energy, and it takes a community to help say, no, open the door, or to put your foot in a closing door, and to be able to remember that that is our job, to be able to envision the new reality. So I think my pearls of wisdom would just be condensed to pay attention and listen.
Yeah.
And that's listen to yourself, but also be open to listening to others.
That's incredible. That amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I see your love and your passion for this industry, and it's incredible the work that you are doing. And for every artist out there, listen to Erica. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah,
She knows what she's talking about.
Thank you for having me on this show. It was really great to feel like I actually got out of the country for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, Tony got to go out because he doesn't leave the house. Doesn't leave the house. This is a late night for you, Tony. No, that is awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. And TJ, I know the work that you guys have been doing, and we didn't even get to go into that, which is crazy. I'm gonna have to have you on again as well, which is
Yeah.
great. I'd love to have you and Lisa. But when it comes to, before we get to pearls of wisdom, because again, you've also seen new artists, old bands, successful bands, terrible bands come in and out. Before we get to that, how has COVID been for you guys? What are the changes that you guys are making when it comes to going forward into this, not even into this new normal, because normal implies before, into this new, it just new.
Look, I think it definitely took a lot of adjusting, but it in the lightest way possible. I mean, in trying to keep things as positive as possible. It also took me in particular out of a comfort zone that I thought I maybe got myself into, and I've learned to try to teach myself to adapt. And sort of move with the times, and not so much just be stuck in one thing. And being an artist, not necessarily a musically talented artist, but I would say a conceptual artist, it's important for all artists out there to utilize that skill which you were born with, which is change, and you are able to do it much easier than a lot of people out there in the world that are used to that kind of structure. I think with things being so difficult now, it's given us all the opportunity to try new things and explore. I mean, we wouldn't be having this meeting if COVID never happened. So I mean, it's taught us in many ways how to connect with people, like you said, Erica, thousands of miles away over the internet. It's been around for a while, but I never used it as much as I do now. And with Muso's streaming shows, I think in South Africa particularly, some musicians, I think where we struggled a bit in the scene was with our online presence, and in a light way, this has sort of pushed us to adapt and grow on that online presence and make ourselves more seen. And I think it's great. I don't think it's something that should stop when this stops. I think it's something that should continue for years to come. And change is imminent. So this is just one step to keeping your mind open to trying new things and exploring in your respective field, I guess.
Yeah. And that's very encouraging. And you're right, it's totally pushed a lot of people. And it's again proven that art isn't dead, because even though we can't literally sort of be feeding off of that audience energy, we're still able to create and make our own energy, which is quite interesting. It's a different way of looking at it. But thank you so much for being part of the show and for adding and
thank
again
you for
also
having me.
You're so welcome.
This was really cool. I must say, I love this.
I'm glad.
Time flies.
Oh man, I'm so glad. And we're defo gonna have like a proper writers round at Railways Cafe. We're gonna do it hashtag a la the Bluebird Cafe style. Like we're gonna do this. So yeah, you and me, we're gonna WhatsApp.
Kick it hazmat suit style.
So thank you so much for spending your evening here at the Music Cafe. I appreciate it. Well, Christian, you were a poppin' guest, and I had to have you on because it's
Thanks for having me.
obviously this show would mean it would mean a lot to both of us. Do you also? I know I love asking you this question because also you're just full of fun words. And do you have any pearls of wisdom for anyone out there?
So if songwriting is your passion, you know it. You can't not write. You can't not make music. And if that is kind of your core, I would really ask you to consider going to Nashville and visiting the Bluebird Cafe. The first time I went, I didn't have any money, and I had a near-death experience. And I just realized that I didn't do this one big thing that I had on my bucket list. And I literally sold my car to go to Nashville and to visit the Bluebird. And it changed my life. It absolutely changed everything I am because, you know, especially when you're younger, you kind of think fame and all these lights and stage and glory and honor. And then when I came back from Nashville the first time, I realized it's about the music. And I think if you can kind of just experience that and see if you can get an opportunity to go to Nashville and to visit these places, you'll have your own little spiritual experience and find where you are in your soul and your being. And I implore you to do that if you can.
And if I can add on to that, or I've mentioned that we're both the coordinators in South Africa for NSAI, which is the Nashville Songwriting Association, and their slogan. I actually had Bart Herbison on, who runs NSAI. I had him on a couple of weeks ago, and the slogan for NSAI is "It all starts with a song." And that's it. It all starts with a song, and it's not a song. It's just keep writing a song. That keep writing. So, if you are a South African, just putting out to the viewers, if you're a South African that is wanting to know more about Nashville songwriting, going back to just storytelling, get in touch with us. We can help you out. And obviously we've got fame.org, who's also part of that experience and helping SA artists out, because it is true. Dreams do come true. I mean, look at this room. How incredible is this room right now? Thank you so much to all of you for spending your Sunday afternoon/evening at the Music Cafe. You guys are awesome. I've loved chatting with y'all. It's been fantastic.
I'm going to start using the word y'all a lot now.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's part of my vocab. Like, it's just part of it. Y'all. I say y'all all the time. It's great. No, it's been awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I will chat to you all very soon. You're so welcome.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
Nice
y'all.
meeting you all. Bye.
Bye. Oh, man. That is so cool. What an awesome room. What a fantastic episode, guys. This show has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for being part of this. And if you have any more, I didn't get to all of the questions in the comments, and I'm so sorry. If you have any questions for anyone like specific on the show, please drop me a DM. I'm Alexandra May Music everywhere. And just drop me a DM and I can answer questions, put you in touch with Fame, NSAI, answer when it comes to Nashville songwriting, whatever you need. We're a community of songwriters, and that's the important thing. So yeah, but guys, I will see you same time, same place next week for another Music Cafe show. But for now, stay safe, sanitize, and call your loved ones. Bye.
I ain't no typical girl. I ain't no typical girl. I ain't cheerleading while the boys play ball. I ain't no typical girl.